state, and city in which we live. Guide us this afternoon as we make our decisions. Christ name.
Amen.
This is the regular meeting of the Newnan City Council, August 8th, 2023. Yeah, the minutes from the regular meeting on July the 18th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. We adopt the minutes as presented. In discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. I'd like a motion to amend the agenda today. You'll notice on your appointment sheet, the name of Jim Thomason was added as an oversight, got added, wasn't on there to begin with as an oversight, and then we added his name onto this list. So if I could get a motion to amend the agenda to include his name.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second to amend the agenda to add Jim Thomason's name to an appointment to the DDA. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Then we get into those appointments. 3 appointments from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Alexander.
Yes, sir, I'd like to renominate Mr. Ken Parker for 3 years.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. We renominate Ken Parker for 3 years. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Ms. Jenkins.
I need to put on the next agenda, I haven't contacted him yet.
Thank you. And Mr. DeBoe is the next.
Like to reappoint Skin Edge the 5th.
That's to the
Second.
Board of Zoning Appeals for another 3-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Mr. Jones, the next.
Next meeting, please.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jenkins,
Next meeting.
thank you. Mr. Shell,
Yes, I'd like to reappoint Bob McCoon to the Cultural Arts Commission.
Second.
motion is second. We reappoint Mr. Bob McCoon to the Cultural Arts Commission. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Ms. Jenkins,
Next meeting.
okay. I would like to reappoint Jim Thomason to the Downtown Development Authority.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Mr. Jones?
Next meeting, please.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shell, I understand that's next meeting,
Please.
and mine is the next meeting on the Parks Commission, Tree Commission, Mr. Grecko.
Next meeting as well, please.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that very much. The next item on the agenda today is reports from city manager. Sir?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, real quick, I'd like for Mr. Craver to introduce a special guest we got with us today.
All right.
Mayor Brady, members of the council, you've been long supporters of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metropolitan Atlanta through funding facilities here in Newnan. Well, as of 2 days ago? Yesterday, the gentleman behind me, Mr. King Banks, was named the executive director of our clubs here. So I wanted you guys to get to know him, get to say hello, and allow him to introduce himself. If he wants to come to the mic, share a little bit about himself. But we're excited here locally to have another great champion of kids in not only the Wesley Street Club, but also the Howard Warner Club. So,
Thank you.
Mr.
Welcome.
King
If you'll
Banks.
state your name for the record, please.
Mic check, it's on. All right, so as he said, my name is King Banks, new executive director for all the Newnan Coweta County Club, a Boys and Girls Club. I have over 10 years of youth development experience from a very small town called Elberton, Georgia. Many of you may have heard of it or may not. Yes, sir, Granite Capital, that's it. So I've been in Atlanta for a little over 10 years, on and off, and I felt God led me to Newnan to pursue more youth development, reaching a larger target audience. And I've been working as a program director for the last 3 months, and I've had the opportunity to become now the executive director. And I've already seen some changes that I would like to make, changes for the good, changes for the great, to really help take the Boys and Girls Club to another and a higher level. And I definitely look forward to working with each and every one of you, engaging more into community involvement, partnering with more businesses and organizations, and just truly giving these kids the tools they need to succeed. And again, I look forward to working with you all to do just that. All right, thank you so much.
for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Newnan. You'll find it to be a very a great city in which to work and live. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda, I don't have anything today. Under new business, this is a public hearing. If they'll open at this point, this is an application for alcohol beverage, 272 Greenville Street. The reason for this is a new business. Is everything in order with the thing? All right. Is there a representative here today from this business? Thank you for being here today. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, grant the application for 272 Greenville. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried, thank you. The next is also a public hearing for an application for alcohol beverage. This is retail off-premise package sales and malt beverages and wine on 50 Millard Farmer. This is also a new business. I'll ask, is applicant here today? Thank you for being here today, we appreciate that. Is everything in order? We'll close the public hearing at this time, and I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, we approve the application as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. The next item on the agenda is consideration of extension for Distills Package Store, 109 Bullsboro. Mr. Phillips has this today.
Yes, sir. The beverage vault, as you can see in your agenda, was originally awarded one of three rights to a license back in April of 2022. They've been through a couple of extensions. The last extension was granted by this body on October the 11th of 22. That was a 9-month extension. That 9-month period will expire on August the 22nd of this month. So the applicant and his applicant representatives are here to request an extension from council, so.
Okay, thank you. Applicant, come forward. If your speaker will state their name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. Danny Kelly.
Thank you.
So I'm asking for an extension to March 1st due to some constraints that I had. We've showed great progress, which I have here, the original building. Got a lot of the sheathing up. I have dates for the metal building and some other things.
Okay, is there a breakdown of timetable of items you'd like to hit during that period?
I do. I have like my metal building for the week of the 22nd. And I have coolers coming in October. So my goal is to have that extension so I don't have to come back again, but my goal has always been to be done by the end of the year. But again, with weather, some other things that I can't control, I'm asking for a longer. I'd much rather under-promise and over-deliver than to make a mistake and screw up. But we have bought everything. Everything's been paid for. Again, my coolers, I just got done engineering yesterday with a slab, so my metal building's already been bought and paid for. So everything's in place. I'm just waiting for those times to come. So I've got certain benchmarks and deadlines that I will make. And I promise you I'll do everything I can to, to ensure that we get it done in a timely manner.
All right, I appreciate you being here. I understand, I see some of your team is here today.
Yes, sir.
I guess I've got a couple of questions, and council will have other questions too, but of Mr. Lichty and his group, if I could get a representative to come up.
I am with Lichty.
You are with
Yes,
Lichty.
sir.
I'm sorry.
I am the site superintendent, so I'm the one running the job day to day. So
Okay. All right, well, my bad on that.
It's
thought you
okay.
were-
No, I
I thought you
understand.
were representing the applicant and not.
No, sir.
So is the applicant here today?
yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm also kind of helping represent them too, because I have all the information on the construction side of the process. So
okay. Council?
Yes, I have a couple. So you just made a statement to us, you've been extended, that you have demonstrated progress.
yes, sir.
Okay,
Actually-
but my question is, why would staff, knowing how staff operates, why would they say you haven't demonstrated commitment to progress? I drove by there on the way here,
Sir.
and based upon the pictures that I have here in front of me, it looks like you've cleaned up some of that. I saw one guy on a ladder, and I saw some siding up on the left side of the picture, and that's it. So
Well,
I'm reluctant, to, knowing how staff is, and knowing that they're very lenient, very supportive, very encouraging. I'm reluctant to give you an extension without any form of a continual update before council as to your progress. Because a 9-month extension again, when we have others that are making different progress in the same situation that are way ahead
If I
of
can speak-
schedule.
if I can
So
speak
may-
on that.
Sure, go ahead.
So the major progress, I didn't have a building permit until July 19th. So we're now August 8th. So in less than 30 days, you see the building is sheathed, has been demoed. I have interior walls I'm more than happy to show. Have an actual electrician today actually working. My rough plumbing starts on Thursday. So I plan on having that existing building by the end of this month, beginning of next month. You'll actually see the brick and the cladding going on. All that's set in motion and all that's in place. So right now, considering I couldn't do any of that until I had an actual building permit, which was issued on the 19th of July, it's pretty substantial completion. Plus, I didn't have an LDP due to GDOT. You know, GDOT takes forever to get anything. So again, so I didn't get that until July 5th, which in turn allowed me to get a site prep on July 11th. Through the inspections, I was issued an LDP on July 14th. With that being said, I couldn't start my actual doing demo or doing grading work until Monday, July 14th. And if you think about the tracker time, most of these new projects take 4 to 6 months to get parking lots, grading, work. I have done this in less than 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I have a pad ready for a metal building, met an engineer yesterday. The designs will be in Friday. I have my concrete guys for the new metal building coming out to get ready for that slab. So it looks like it's slow motion, but when you actually consider the time frame that I've been given to actually perform work on a job, it's pretty considerable, considering it's only been less than 30 days. And I'm promising you that with my extension, I've given you deadlines. I got the week of the 22nd for a metal building. I promised to have concrete, 2 weeks before. So the second week of September, I promised to have concrete. So again, there's been uphill things that I have to do. I got to get engineering. I have to work with the city. So to make sure everything's done correctly and appropriately, I can't cut any corners. So I have been working with my inspector, Mr. Joey Warius. So, and we've talked usually every day. I met Mr. Stevenson on site. So I'm plugging away with everything I can. Granted, an act of God and weather, which I can't control. All my dates are hard. Again, even the coolers are coming on the 15th. I plan on having coolers inside that building because once the slab's done, metal building shows up, it's erected. My guys immediately go to filling in the infill of the walls. It's a completed building. Now, my parking lot is where a lot of the heartburn comes in because I got to have, ran into a few soil problems, which has already been mitigated on the back, but my parking lot, I'm good to go. I've acquired the soils needed for that to keep it going. Working with my surveyors, working with my grading guys, so we're trucking along really good.
Okay, let me see if there are any other questions from council. Anybody got anything else? Road?
I don't question you, and your company especially, I know y'all will take care of it if y'all give it, but we didn't hold you up on getting the building permit. You acted like that's what held you up. That's the owner's responsibility as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just telling you now, if we make this extension, this is it. I don't care if you're 1 day short. I'm not extending you again.
Yes, sir.
So that's to the owner, that's not to y'all, because y'all are the ones that built it. But I'm not gonna vote again to extend it after that day. Period.
Any other comment?
I have another comment. So you are saying you're giving us some hard dates. So if he's giving us hard dates here in front of us now, then there has to be some, in my opinion, some documentation as to the reality of what you're telling us. So if we do extend, then, and I'm with Rhodes on this, by the way, so with any extension we do, there's got to be a barometer, a gauge, a visual before us, or at least before staff, that he's moving along. And so you're giving us hard dates of 30 days, so you're saying it, so I think it'd be reasonable to produce something within 30-day periods that adds to your progress.
Well, I think
Again,
I think you've got a project timeline. I mean,
I do.
I know your company well enough to know you've got a
Sir.
project timeline.
Yes, sir.
So that's what we want to see reported to us through our building department, is those milestones on the project timeline. That's what you're asking for, correct? Okay.
Absolutely.
It's just the big ones, and we're not talking about every day, but we're talking
No.
about big things like the parking lot, whatever the siding, whatever the case.
Yes, sir. No, my main goal is we had I won't say a very attractive building to begin with, and we've seen the progress on the demo, but now, if you look at my picture today, even your picture, sir, today, it's a whole new building. It's sheathed, it's ready. I've got some interior walls going. We're moving along, and
Okay.
we're doing everything we can, barring weather, and we haven't had friendly days.
Appreciate your comments. Is there a motion from council?
Second,
into March, or March 1?
March 1.
March 1, okay. Motion is second to extend to March 1 with 30-day reports from the building department. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a consideration of the ordinance to amend Chapter 3, alcohol beverages. The code of ordinance is to provide for licensee transfers, license change, or location of business approved by the city manager, which is going to take, all of you know what this takes off of us when we have these public hearings, and it's just a personnel change or.
Yeah, we felt like that this is certainly something that we can administratively handle. Obviously, it's not shifting the initial public hearing or the initial issuance of a license. It's not hearing any of the appeals. It's simply, as the agenda item stated, some administrative changes that instead of taking, 6 to 8 weeks to process it and get it on the council agenda, et cetera, we'll be able to process it
Right.
administratively, get them approved, business friendly, and out the door.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt is presented. Any discussion?
I had a quick question, and this was just kind of, for us is, and this is not necessarily for right now, but looking long-term down the road, I'm maybe a little concerned about the delegation below the manager's position, city manager, because or your designee. Who would you initially be potentially considering for that? And again, looking long-term, potentially after you, I've got complete faith in you and staff, but just long-term, who that would potentially be and who would we delegate that down to?
Well,
What
obviously,
level?
we've got a great staff, Ms. Iris has been doing the applications for several years. Obviously, Mr. Sears works very close with those, and we verify everything. That's no different than whenever, the mayor asks if everything's in order. It's certainly what they'll be presenting to me. Probably what will happen at this point in time is they'll bring the application to me with the same thing, verification everything's in order, and I will actually be the one signing the final document. Obviously, it has become commonplace when you see ordinances, when it talks about responsibilities. We used to name really specific employees in our ordinances, and that would become a challenge. We found that it's a much better practice that when you start putting a city manager or designee, it certainly gives us some flexibility and doesn't tie us into our pigeonholes. So for the future, I don't think there really is a change.
Okay.
Long-term, I don't really see that. And it's not a large burden on me, of course, relying upon staff and Mr. Sears.
Okay, thank you.
All right. A motion is second. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is a request for reclassification of an employee position. Mr. Stevenson has this today. How are you, sir?
Good, Mayor, Council. I'm doing well. How are you all?
Good.
Yes, before you is a request for a reclassification of a position. We used to have a part-time permit tech, and we'd like to reclass that to a full-time code enforcement officer. Currently, we have 2 code enforcement officers. One, Matt Murray, which you know very well. He does our open and vacants and dilapidated structures and brings them through our substandard housing program. We also have Ms. Shy Anderson, who does illegal dumping, as well as refuse enforcement, refuse service. And they both do business license enforcement as well. And Matt also does the apartment complex program. And we'd like to have an additional person to kind of handle in, the things that fall in between, deferred maintenance, nuisance issues, and things like that. So we'd like your approval on this.
Any questions of Mr. Stevenson?
I do have a quick question, just with the building schedule and all the building we are doing right now.
Yes, sir.
This is converting our part-time position to a full-time position, so we'd have 3 code enforcement officers.
Yes, sir.
And no part-time technician. Do you see in the future or the need to have a part-time technician in addition to a code enforcement
Well,
officer?
that's a good question, and that may come to a point where we need an additional part-time permit tech. Currently, we're going to try this out and see if we can have this person do part-time permit tech paperwork as well. Just depends on the person and how it moves forward. I know Ms. Anderson does that, helps out Jennifer quite well. So we're hoping that this will alleviate her a little bit as well. But I can't predict the future. We are growing, as you know, a lot of permits to do. So we're hoping this person would be do well with computers and work on the administrative side as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, we approve the request as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then the next is a consideration for the annual repaving contract award. Mr. Clark has this today. As he comes forward, you'll see C.W. Matthews is the recommendation at $6,143,649. Mr. Clark?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you recall, we are working from a 3-year plan, now a rolling plan. This would be year 1, and we've accelerated our pavement preservation program. This is probably the largest paving contract that we brought to you. It's got 3 different approaches and 3 different lists of streets. And as you pointed out, C.W. Matthews is the lowest responsive bid, and we would ask that you approve a contract with C.W. Matthews for this work.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion is second, we approve as presented for the annual repaving contract. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Clark. The next item, N, has been pulled by the applicant, so we won't consider that. The next is for information only. This is a rezoning request, RZ 2023-04 by George Rosenzweig, attorney at law representing Templar Development Group LLC for 12.56 acres located on Bullsboro Drive, requesting from CGN to RML for lower density for the purpose of constructing 95 one-story fee simple condominium-style cottages. And like I said, this is for information only, no action needed. The next item under unfinished business, 31 Jones Street, owner update and request for extension. You have that in your agenda. Mr. Cole. Oh, Mr. Murray.
Yeah.
How are you?
Doing well, Mr. Mayor and Council. Hope all is well. This property was before you back in March for a public hearing where at that time they were granted a 120-day resolution deadline to either repair or demolish the structure. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any progress on the structure itself, on the house. They have maintained the lot, cut the grass, and the house is secured. I did meet one of the family members out at the property last week, Mr. Montgomery, and the family is here today. And I think there was some confusion on their part as to what they were required to do to meet the resolution, the requirements of the resolution. They were thinking that if they kept the grass cut and the house was secure, that would be what all they were required to do. In my conversation with him, I told him that would not satisfy the resolution to repair or to demolish. So I think they are still trying to determine exactly what they want to do with the house. They wanted to try to save it, but in talking with Mr. Montgomery, there wasn't at that time any funding available that they were aware of. Something may have changed in the last few days to be able to repair the structure. But the family is here. They did want to address you about a possible extension and update you on where the property stands.
Mr. Montgomery, whoever, I believe there are 2 of you in the audience. If you'll move forward.
How's everybody doing?
Fine, how are you?
Mr.
State your
Montgomery.
name for the record.
Dennis Montgomery.
Thank you,
Tyrone Davis for the record as well.
thank you.
As Mr. Matt stated, I met with him from the last time we was here. I kept the upkeeping of it and did discuss some things with the family. And as I stated with Mr. Matt, that I got a couple of estimate on what it would cost to demolish it and remodel. So we got those quotes, and as I stated with Mr. Matt, that, we're, as a family, we discussed that we'll probably demolish it, but it's the,
Yeah, we're actually trying to look into, basically because the its property right now is in late grandparents' name as well as late father's name. So we're trying to figure out what's the next step as far as either removing that, either through, I guess, not necessarily, taking the property name from their name to our name. So we know that's a legal process to do that because basically the deceased died without a will. So everything we have to go through probate, which we know that's a process that takes time. So right now, we're just trying to go find out what the legal next moves are to give us the administrative rights to do what we need to do as from an estate standpoint.
Have you hired an attorney?
Well, that's what we're looking into now, trying to look into, basically looking into a real estate attorney. We're trying to vet some people to figure out what our next legal move is. Because right now, we want to get tied into something where we're making moves and then it's not legal. So that's what we're looking at too right now. So we have got some quotes as far as demoing the house, as well as possibly remodeling the house, or even possibly a construction loan. But that's kind of where we are right now in that process. So we definitely need an extension to kind of get some more time to kind of go down that path and figure out what our next legal move is.
I'd like to see the council grant a 60-day extension. Do you think that's enough time to get you?
I was hoping to do a little bit longer. I don't know what the max time frame is. Because I'm just kind of getting into it, getting brought up to speed on where we are with things. But I'm not sure what I was thinking more like 180 days, but I don't know what the max is. I know you've already kind of given an extension of 120, but.
I'm prepared to make a motion to give you 120 days to figure out all that, because I know probate can take a while.
Yes, right, because right now, the names are still in the deceased names.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion a second for 120-day extension. What we're going to ask you to do, though, if this motion passes, is to give some reports to staff. So 30 days reports to staff so that we know that you're making progress along the way with whatever you're doing, the legal or the demolition or whatever you're doing.
And I'll amend my motion to include those 30-day reports.
Right.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
120 days.
thank you.
The next is consideration of a resolution of transmittal of the 2023 update on the capital improvements of the CIE, which includes the short-term work program to Three Rivers Regional Commission and the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Mr. Cole, how are you, sir?
Very fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Yes, sir. So we're here to request transmittal of the capital improvements element and short-term work program to Three Rivers Regional Commission and DCA.
Thank you. Is there a
Thank
motion?
So moved.
Motion is second. We approve the request for the resolution of transmittal of the 2023 update on the capital improvements element. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. The next is the second and final reading, ordinance to amend Chapter 3, alcohol beverages of the Code of Ordinances pertain to the regulation of sale and consumption of alcohol beverages in Wadsworth.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Motion is second. We approve on the second and final reading. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We have no visitors and we have no reason for an executive session today. We do have a meeting, work session that starts in 1 minute. So perfect timing. Thank you very much for that. And so I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We adjourn this meeting. This meeting is adjourned. Does anyone need a break going into this?
Just run to the bathroom.
Yeah, okay. 5 minutes.